I'm also the co-director of the Center for European and Transatlantic Studies, which is one of the organizers of this event. It's my privilege to welcome you all. It is particularly my privilege because I had very little to do with putting this event on. That credit goes to my colleague, Dr. Claire Greenstein, up in the front, ably assisted by Mary Lou Suarez and Jessica Palastikos in the back. I'd like to thank our co-sponsors. There's my Distinguished Researcher Award from the Ivan Allen College, the Atlantic Council on International Relations, and the School of Modern Languages and the School of Sociology, History and Sociology. The event is also supported by the Erasmus Plus program of the European Union, and according to my contract, I must stress that any commentary that you hear here, no matter how insightful it might be, cannot be attributed to the European Union in any way. So the fall of the wall actually occurred on November 9th, 1989, so we're a few days early. But this is a great opportunity to reflect on that momentous event and what has happened since. I'm delighted that Dr. Heike Fuller, the German Consul General in Atlanta, has agreed to provide some opening remarks. Without further ado, I invite Dr. Fuller to the front.
Thank you very much. Oh, do you hear me? Thank you very much, Professor Young, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a pleasure to be back at Georgia Tech. I have to admit, the German consulate in Atlanta closely cooperates with this great university on various occasions. I attend so many different events here that this university, with its great staff and students, already feels home to me. Thank you very much for inviting me to this very special event, 30th anniversary of the fall of the German Wall, an event that is very close to my heart. Germany has been united in democracy and freedom for 30 years. It is now 3 decades since the political division imposed by the Cold War was overcome. Being raised in the western part of Germany during the Cold War, for me, like for many of my compatriots, the division of Germany and Europe was cemented for an unforeseeable future. When I grew up, German unity seemed to be unthinkable. Looking back to the fall of the Berlin Wall and the historic fall of 1989 in Europe, it is almost a miracle that no blood was shed. In 1989, a peaceful revolution turned Germany into the happiest nation of the world. Families united, freedom prevailed, Germany became whole and free. Courageous citizens in East Germany were instrumental in bringing about the fall of the wall that divided my country in East and West. Many stood up and raised their voices. The others just turned their backs on the communist regime and left. And it was precisely of these two forces of speaking up and leaving came together in the GDR that the East German dictatorship fell. There was more than simply one trigger for the East German revolution. The system was ailing, the economy was running on empty, the political elites were incapacitated, the loyalty of followers had cracked, and Gorbachev in Moscow was no longer willing to sustain the status quo. But again, a collapse of this nature requires the active participation of individuals. And this active participation was the essential factor. Some left, some fled, and others were speaking up. All of these people contributed considerably to the destabilization of the system. The wall was ultimately torn down by East Germans, but also by citizens of Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. The Poles were the first to start chipping away the wall in 1980 by means of their anti-communist solidarity movement. Of course, our neighboring partners and partnering states and international allies also played a crucial role. Without their trust in the peaceful and positive development of a united Germany in Europe, German unity would not have been possible. We will never forget America's support, from the Marshall Plan to John F. Kennedy's Ich bin ein Berliner, to Ronald Reagan's tear down this wall, or George Bush's immediate assurance on the night of November 9, when the wall finally were torn down, that the US would stand at Germany's side as a reliable partner and do everything possible to make sure the Germans regain their state sovereignty and unity as quickly as possible. Bush was Germany's most important friend in this moment, and his steadfast policy towards my country quickly forced the remaining former allies to abandon their blockade stance towards German reunification. Today, 30 years later, we Germans can proudly say to our partners, look, at Berlin, a wall came down, a continent came together. We do not want to see ever again pictures of watchtowers and a wall that divided Germany and Europe for so long. Exactly 10,316 days the wall has been in place. During this time, the wall exacted the terrible toll. While the exact number of casualties is unknown, it is estimated that 262 people died at the Berlin Wall, many of whom were shot by East German border guards as they attempted to cross to freedom. The 870 miles internal German border claimed yet more lives. Many Germans personally experienced the cruelty and inhumanity of a wall that split apart many families in West and East, separated parents from their children. I'm well aware that talking about a wall in today's context can be a highly sensitive matter. Therefore, let me briefly share my story with you. Growing up in the north of Germany, close to the city of Hamburg, my family did not have any relatives in the east of Germany. I only heard from some of my friends who had family members in East Germany talking about packages they sent to their families in the east, filled with coffee, cosmetic, and other goods that were not available for ordinary people in the former GDR. I heard a mother of one of my friends talking about the harassment she experienced by East German border guards when she crossed the border to see her family in the east. And I heard my father talking over and over again about one of his colleagues who had to leave behind his 2-year-old boy with the grandmother in East Germany when he and his wife crossed into the West on a motorbike the last minutes before the Iron Curtain was finally closed for so many years. These parents fought a fierce legal and political battle for more than 12 years to get their son out of the former GDR so that he could join them in the West. Many Germans who were forced to grow up in East Germany, but also Germans who were living in West Germany, have unique stories to tell. And sadly so, some of these stories were either never told, simply not heard in the West or East, or long forgotten, as the German president recently stated. Shared Histories is the title of a project that will continue until the University of German Unity next year, when October 3rd, the formal unification of the two German states will be 30 years ago. The process of reunification has not always been easy, but fortunately, Germany is a united country today. The long division of Germany gives us a special reason and a unique motivation to work on behalf of freedom, human rights, opportunity for all, and against artificial borders separating people around the world. The fall of the Berlin Wall is a very important symbol of German-American friendship and cooperation. We look forward to expanding our precious bonds of friendship for the future. We view the trust that the Americans placed in us as an historic mission. As a reliable key ally in the center of a united Europe, Germany will continue to strive for freedom, human rights, peace, and security, and for the closest possible cooperation with our transatlantic partners. Dankeschön, America, and thank you very much to all of you.